Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany Simon. We do philosophy through pop culture, and in today's video we're reviewing Love is Blind UK Season 2 Episode 3. We're using real people's lives to learn about our own. Let's see what happens.
Kieran was my strongest connection. He saw the vulnerable side of me, and I guess maybe I do feel rejected. It's not even that he gave a gift, but the gift was super thoughtful and he sprayed it in his own aftershave, so it was kind of like he's putting his own scent on Megan. I just wanted to let you know I don't want you to feel uncomfortable with the whole situation. And obviously you coming in like screaming and being like, he did this.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Finding out that Kieran has a connection with Sophie has surprised me a bit.
Alrighty, damn. Okay, so we've just learned that Megan and Sophie have spoken about Kieran, and now the girls are on the same page, but now Megan needs to talk to Kieran about the whole situation. I'm curious how the conversation came about. It sounds like Sophie is the one who brought it up because Megan came in with so much excitement over getting the personalized gift. It sounded like Sophie just wanted Megan to know and also probably to be a little vulnerable. So now Megan is going to confront Kieran about it because obviously Sophie implied that what if he's saying the same thing to both of us, which we've seen happen on the show before. We've seen there's just a confusion about how to date multiple people at the same time. And so obviously there tends to be overlap with how you show affection to multiple people. But yet Kieran went out of his way, like Sophie pointed out, to give Megan a specialized gift and to spray his cologne on it. And Sophie even said it's like, he put his scent on her. So there is like a level of intimacy in which obviously Kieran should just break it off with Sophie and choose Megan. But I guess we'll see what happens.
I've got a question for you.
Yes, go girl.
What do you think about tattoos?
Okay, so this is Barta and Jed, and I think they're going to pick each other. They really fit so perfectly in the same aesthetic category. I wouldn't be surprised. But now she's asking about tattoos, which brings me back to the question I had initially. Are they talking a lot about physicality this season, or is it just me? I feel like they are talking so much about what they look like. Kind of defeats the purpose, but
I don't actually have any. I've always kind of thought about getting a tattoo, but I'm stuck because I want it to be perfect. What is your greatest accomplishment in life?
Ooh, great question. What is your greatest accomplishment in life?
The growth that I've achieved.
Okay, cool.
Because my family actually migrated to the UK because there was a war going on.
Oh my God.
I didn't speak English, my brothers didn't, my parents didn't. Can't imagine how difficult it was, particularly for my dad, who had to go out and speak to people.
Okay, a little details on her life. Coming from Kosovo, no one in her family spoke English, and I really like the sentiment towards her father because he is the provider in the family, just saying how difficult it must have been. I really think people take it for granted how hard it must be to have to leave your home and start in a new place and not speak the language. And I just, coming from an immigrant background myself, I just think people take for granted how difficult it is. And, it's amazing to see people make hard situations into good ones.
Yeah, now I'm at the highest level in my company.
I'm so proud of you.
So she's successful, she has her own money, she's also helped out her own family, and she's been working since she was 13, and her family have a really good relationship, which is nice.
I feel like there's so much to you. I think I've actually got the most notes talking to you.
I love that.
I just want to make sure that I remember everything about us.
I do get butterflies when I talk to Jed.
I fancy you through a wall.
He said, I fancy you through a wall. I didn't even know that was possible. Yeah, I mean, guys, I don't know. It's kind of funny, this idea, but I guess with DMs, I guess we do see their pictures before we DM, but yeah, it's not that surprising. I think they're definitely going to choose each other. They're using very heavy connecting language, but this is not an official proposal. But I mean, I think it's coming.
There are definitely some feelings growing.
I'll speak to you soon, my darling.
Ooh, okay, Sarover and Cal. Cal? Yes, Cal. They're about to meet each other for the first time.
I have fallen in love with Sver. She's the one.
They're very, very attractive. As a unit, just together, they look very complimentary.
Princess.
Oh my God.
Princess arrived.
A little cheesy. He calls her princess. Maybe that's but okay, they look good together. Okay, nice sweet kiss, subtle, nice hug. Sometimes when the couples try to get too affectionate too fast, I always wonder, do they talk about it beforehand? Because it can be very awkward, but this is cute.
Well.
I love the outfit.
Both of their clothing choices are very nice. His in particular is very nice.
10 out of 10. He is better than I imagined. The fact Cal called himself my prince is so Bollywood, so magical.
Okay, I wasn't sure if she would like that or not because I know pet names can be very awkward and him calling her princess could have been awkward, but she said it's very Bollywood, so I guess it's I guess she likes it.
Feeling very, very, very lucky.
Okay, cute. I mean, I hope they're compatible in many ways. They aesthetically look very good together. I can't get over it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do they pick people from behind a wall that they always look so good with? Almost every season I've seen, almost every couple always pick somebody they look good with. I don't get it.
She's a very beautiful girl, and just seeing her and being with her, I just feel like I'm in a dream, actually. It's not words that come easily to me, but it feels right. I'm thinking I want to say it.
Oh.
I love you. You don't have to say it back, but I just want you to know.
I love that he gave her a choice. He said, you don't have to say it back, but I wanted you to know.
I love you too.
The only thing that can come from this is beauty, it's marriage, it's abundance.
So Patrick is meeting with Anu and just saying that he really likes her and he thinks they're compatible and he thinks that together there can only be abundance. Abundance mindset, adjacent to spiritual bubbles and adjacent to scam bubbles. Still hesitating around Patrick. I want to like him, but he just used too many red flag words.
Yeah, I feel really good. How do you feel?
I feel amazing. Yeah, I hope that we can progress even further. I want to experience something that I've never experienced before. There's a lot of unknown with you, and I like that. You're going to sing for me? Give me a little song.
Putting her on the spot here.
It's not an insecurity, but it's like, just because I've sung backing vocals with Rod Stewart doesn't mean I'm this amazing singer. I don't like bragging. Like, I really play myself down.
Do you know, I really dislike that in someone. I'm not going to lie to you. You know, like society always tells you to be humble and stuff like that. I really disagree with that.
What did I say? What did I say? So he's like, sing for me. And she's like, well, just because, you know, I'm a singer and just because I've sang with, you know, famous people doesn't mean like I'm the best singer. She's basically, you know, just cheering. And he's like, you know, I don't really like that in a person. You know, society always tells you to be humble, but I don't agree with that. Humility is like a requirement of wisdom. You need to be humble before you can even think about being wise. He lacks humility and wisdom. See, I don't like the spiritual bubble he's in. Let's see what he says though.
I'm not saying you need to be humble or so-and-so needs to be humble. I'm just saying for myself.
How would you react if your family rejected me?
Oh.
My mum's literally my best friend, you know.
Interesting. He said, what would you say if your family rejected me? Why? Because they're Christian and he's not Christian? Why would they reject him? I wonder what that's about.
And if my mum says she's not feeling it, then I have to listen to my mum.
Interesting. She said her mom's her best friend. You know, I do think when you marry the love of your life, you become the primary family. And I do think your family, your parents especially, become their own unit, but you're no longer like under their wing. You know, you're now your own unit, like your own person. Kind of like when you grow up, you become your own person, even though you'll always be your parents' kid. But I do, you know, think it's okay to take your parents and your family members' opinions into consideration. I mean, I certainly did when I was getting married. But at the same time, like, we are adults at the end of the day. We make our own decisions. And now that I am married, it is so clear to me personally in my own bubble, in my own life, that, you know, your parents are their own people and they get to live their own life and you're your own couple. And so I don't know where his insecurity is stemming from, but I also would question her, you know, what happens if, you know, are you going to pick your parents over me if we're married? And is it going to be us or is it going to be us and them? Like, is the marriage us and them or is the marriage you and me? It's like, that's a very important question because cultural differences do exist. And so you should ask those questions when you're dating.
I love all my people, don't get me wrong. But if they said that to me, I wouldn't listen to them. Wanting approval of people and stuff like that. It's such a low vibration because if you constantly live life like that, you're not going to live life at all.
I hate his worldview. You know why? Because it's rooted in immaturity. The whole like looking for people's validation is low vibration. You need to grow up and get off Tumblr, my bro. Validation seeking, value checking can be very important and healthy as long as it's done for the right reason. Now, is Anu doing it for the right reason? I don't know. But Patrick certainly isn't. This is a disconnect. This is something. But I don't like the way he talks. But yet I still have issues with the way she talks too. So again, I would argue that both have the potential to be wrong, but Anu has better health language. Her language is healthier. Her language is better. She's more rooted in reality. And there's something very grounded about Anu compared to a Patrick. But I have a feeling he's like a rebellious kid who's still fighting the authority of his parents or something.
Continuously people please. And that's why I try not to focus too much on what society is telling me.
Yeah, he's just like, you know, he's talking about people pleasing and society. Look, my bro, deconstruct. Heal your wounds. Yes, there's one way in which society you should rebel against the status quo and speak truth to power and all of that good stuff. But also, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And it feels like he's trying to do that. A lot of these spiritual bubbles feel very adjacent to like crunchy conservative bubbles where they all want to live off the land and say reject society and everything. Rejecting society is rejecting community. If you are a community-based person and you want to lift people up from persecution, then you can't reject society. Anu feels much more like like a community person. He feels very selfish.
Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, for 30 years of my life, I wasn't myself, I would say. Living to please people, and it was only until I guess I found my spirituality when I started to just be selfish in a good way, but just know myself and be like, okay, this is your life, Patrick. You need to start doing things your way. And
Hey, look, if Patrick, who's 33, wants to live life his way, that's fine, but where's the humility? He needs to go to therapy, deconstruct, stop being a rebellious kid. Like, eventually you got to grow up. Eventually you got to be the elder in the community, and you have to be a community member if you want to better the world. And he's a spirituality coach. So like, is he just coaching people to be selfish? Like, yes, know yourself, because it's you in relation to yourself and you in relation to everything outside of yourself. And it feels like he's just self-focused, but not introspective. And I think Anu's facial expression is very relatable right now, where she should be concerned.
I'm not sure we're in alignment.
Exactly, girl. Next.
my spleen is silent. I don't really know what it's saying right now. You have to wait for it to come, and it clicks.
I know who my wife is.
Oh, I think D's done.
From the first date we had, I just felt good energy. So like, I would create a jar, and we might pick something out of it every week.
Oh, like a date jar?
Yeah.
Green flag.
Good. I feel like I know who I want to talk to, and it's you, to be honest.
That's really sweet.
How do you feel like about us?
It's definitely like a curious connection.
Okay, so let's pause here. This is Demala and Katisha, and I think this is the right match. She's also pairing up with Javen, who I'm not the biggest fan of. He's also a little younger and immature and kind of, you know. Demala, I really like. I think they're much more suitable, but she did say the last recording I did that Javen is more her technically typical type, but there's a, you know, question mark there why he's your type, girl. So I like them a lot as a pairing, and I kind of hope they do end up matching, but that's where we are right now. He's making it clear, I like you, you're my pick, you're my person. Let's see how she reacts.
He's a cutie.
She's using words towards him like you're a cutie. I think she can tell he's a little bit more of a, I'm going to say like a romantic and a softie, versus Javian's more of a masculine, typical, traditional, more or less. See, that's why I don't like him and why I like Demala better, because obviously I have a preference, because I find, and this is a stereotype and this might not be true, this is like a generalization, that, and it, again, it's not always true, so be careful, but technically people, well, sometimes when people are a little bit more sensitive, you know, he wrote her some poetry and he's very open with his feelings, they tend to be more progressive and open-minded and kinder and less misogynistic. Not always, obviously, beware the liberal man, beware a liberal in general. The more you're away from the traditionalism and the more you're away from the conservative, you just tend to have, I think, kinder, more compassionate people.
Very kind and generous and genuine, but I'm struggling with this amount of adoration. I'm not used to this.
He's barely putting it on. From what we've seen, he's barely putting it on. Is her bar so in hell that she doesn't know what to do with a little bit of kindness? Our boy is barely doing anything. He's just being nice to her. He's writing like a silly poem. It's like, it wasn't even that deep. It was like it was funny. It was cute. He's just being nice to her. I feel like Katisha had a really bad relationship. And so she's just like, you know, the bar is in hell for her. So this is too much. And so I'm worried for her that she might choose Javian because it feels more familiar. But I hope she doesn't, you know, not to say that Javian's Javen. I think his name is Javen and I keep calling him Javian. I'm sorry. God, I really add sounds to names. My concern is she might choose him because he's familiar and she doesn't think she's worthy of more. And I just, you know, I hope she gets there, because we do, you know, you guys, even though philosophically speaking, we're all evolved animals on a planet and we technically don't deserve anything, on the micro of our own personal life, you deserve to have a healthy and happy relationship. You deserve to feel dignified in your union with somebody.
I feel like I have two good connections.
Are you almost set or not quite yet?
No.
What's stopping you?
Okay, so this is nice. She's being comforted. She's sharing her vulnerabilities. She doesn't want to believe that he could love her, right? That Demala can love her, that he can want to write her a poem or show her love and affection. Exactly what I was worried about, that she doesn't feel worthy of love.
He's just so sweet and lovely, but I've never recognized me being put first.
Our girl is self-aware, but let's see if she's introspective enough, extrospective enough to allow herself an opportunity to let go of her type, and go for him, who might give her something. He's just got a kindness in his face.
I am actually quite inexperienced. I know how to love someone, but I don't know how to receive it, apparently.
I really want it for her too. You know, therapy will help, philosophical work will help, but I want her to have a good relationship. Yeah, I really feel for her. Sophie and Kieran are now together in the pods and there's tension. Let's see what happens.
I do have something to say. You decided to gift Megan. I think it was disrespectful towards me. Your actions have made your intentions very clear.
It's a social experiment and I'm going to give my all to that experiment.
Everyone always says this, and I think they should in some ways. I think this is why it's hurtful. Yes, it's a social experiment, and yes, you should put your all into it, but I think you should be a little bit more transparent with the people you're dating. I think sometimes people aren't because they feel like we all do in the way that we're trained under patriarchy to sort of lie our way through the dates to show our best foot forward, to make people pick us on a false pretense, you know, which is so frustrating because it feels like a lie, even though it might not, because you think you're just withholding information, but it's kind of like, you know, you're omitting.
Well, that's really rude.
Like, I have made a strong connection.
See, now he's playing coy, like I have made strong connections elsewhere. I know, she just said Megan. Now, to be fair, Netflix could be editing this out of sequence.
I can only control what goes on in the pods.
Sweet, love that for you. But you would know that that girl would come in there and be like, oh, this happened. I know what I bring to the table. I bring a lot to the table. I want to be with someone that sees that.
Well, also, it's just not you're not compatible. It's not that he doesn't see that what you bring to the table. Even if he saw it, it doesn't mean he's your person. I think we have to go away from this idea that like rejection is anything more than an acknowledgement of compatibility. It's not that you're a bad person or a good person. I mean, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a key. Like if you've noticed that you can't maintain any relationships throughout your whole life, there might be some deeper work, but we all default have to do deeper work anyways. So it's like, if we default know all of us have to do deeper work, then we're really not going to know why anything is happening in our life unless we do that work anyway. So first we do the work, or I guess eventually we do the work, and then we see what's good and what's working, what's not working. And then on top of that, even if you have two really good people together, it doesn't mean they're going to be compatible. And I think we miss that final step of understanding that not being compatible doesn't mean something had to go wrong.
I will say I'm sorry. I've made you feel any sadness or disrespect. Like, obviously, that's not my intentions.
Okay, that's good. Good that he acknowledged it, right?
I respect you too much.
But I don't think that's true, Kieran.
Yeah, I don't either.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, she's like, I wouldn't do that to you because that's a shit feeling. This is also maybe her neurodivergency at play in a sense, because I do think like a lot of the feedback I've ever gotten back as an autistic woman in my life is very much like, you know, you say it, you're blunt, you say things out loud that like, you know, people don't say while they're dating. But I think it's always been very good for me to know at least I've said it. So at least someone can't say, well, you dated me under false pretenses, or you never told me you were having issues, or you never told me you were feeling bad about the relationship. Like, no, I'll tell you. And unlike, you know, typical people like a Kieran, or at least from the way that I don't know anything about him, maybe he's autistic, I don't know, right? I can't tell through a screen, but he seems to be playing that typical script of, you know, not expressing his frustrations. He said a little bit, at least in the edit to Sophie in a previous episode, that, you know, he's going to need more from her, but yet he's not really like bluntly saying, you know, how he really feels. So Sophie might get confused for that reason as well. And maybe she would have changed had he just been blunt about it. So again, if Sophie is autistic as an example, then being clear and like really clear is very helpful to her brain. So now she feels like he lied, but he probably doesn't feel like he lied because he's following the typical script of withholding information. Let me tell you, as an autistic person, the reason in my marriage we practice radical honesty is because like I don't want to be lied to, and I don't like that feeling, and my partner's neurodivergent as well. We don't like the feeling of being lied to. If you have something in your head and you're growing insecure about it, like who are you going to trust if not me to tell it to? Because at the end of the day, like getting married, in my opinion, being in a relationship is basically for Brittany, there's no point to it unless the person I'm marrying is going to be treated the same way I treat myself. And I tell myself everything. I don't lie to myself. I'm not about to lie to my partner. For me, the standard I'm expecting, other people don't. I think other people are in marriages where they do lie to their partners and they do withhold information and they do deceive one another. And they don't say, hey, I'm feeling insecure. They don't bring up their anxieties. You know, they wait 10, 20 years sometimes before they break down and finally confess to their partners, I've been feeling a way about our marriage, you know? And so if Sophie's anything like that, then this will feel like a betrayal much more than the average person who will feel like it's just a part of the game.
Like if you truly cared about how I felt, you wouldn't put me in that position. I'm a prize, like I'm a catch, and on that.
I don't don't like this narrative, this language. I'm a prize, I'm a catch. Boo. Negative language, not healthy, not helpful. You're not a prize, you're a person. And if you're a good person, then you won't worry about being a prize because you're not a possession. Being with somebody is not about somebody winning a prize. It's about seeing a consciousness and having a cohesive symbiotic relationship with somebody else. And I don't like this narrative of like, I'm a prize and I need someone to see that. You should be the first one to see that. And then again, you wouldn't think of yourself as a prize. Like you're not an object to be won at a fair.
So I'm not here to beg you to love me. Not who I am. It's not who I stand for.
I respect that.
This is like a very girl boss narrative in a lot of bubbles. I mean, I used to think of this too in my 20s. Like I used to think like, oh, I won the relationship or I won the breakup or I'm the, it's just toxic thinking that comes from like a lack of humility and wisdom. Hopefully you guys grow out of it at some point, but
I don't really have anything more to say. So I think I'm going to leave now.
Our girls said, bye, bitch. All right, good for Sophie. Kieran didn't mean anything malicious by it, so he's not really a bad guy. So I'm not mad at him at all. It just went the way it went, and I agree with her on, if he really had thought about it very deeply, he wouldn't have put her in that position. But of course, most people aren't thinking about anything pretty deeply. So it is what it is. That's why the world is messy, because no one's thinking. Everyone thinks they're thinking, but they're not thinking. So, what are you going to do?
I'm not second best, and nor have I ever been second best in my life. And I'm not going to change in the hopes that he would pick me.
When I gave Meg the gift, I knew that could have repercussions. Obviously, I care about Sophie, and yeah, I was quite sad, to be honest, because she was clearly upset.
Yeah, it's not nice upsetting people, but I don't think he did it maliciously. Oh, Sophie.
I just feel like I'm done now.
Yeah.
I didn't find my husband, and that's okay.
It is okay.
The silver lining of all of this is I know that it's now okay to be vulnerable and it's okay to put yourself out there.
Yes, girl.
Someone needs to get this mic off me. Going forward, I'm not as scared to give my heart to someone now. And I think that's a beautiful lesson to take from this.
I feel for her. She's getting overwhelmed probably a little, she's like, get this mic off of me. She's upset. I wish her the best. I hope she goes to therapy. I hope she does philosophical work. I'm glad she learned something from this experiment. And I really hope she finds her joy. She seems like a really sweet person. I do like her.
There's 8 billion people on the planet? I'm sure there's one for me.
There's millions. There's millions. It's just a matter of finding them in this lifetime, which we might not, and that's okay too. Whether or not you find them, it's not going to make or break the joy you can have in your life. With that said, let's leave it right here. We'll come back the next time, see what happens with everybody else. But for now, just a reminder that being in love and finding your high compatibility partner does not define your joy. All right, with that said, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment in the sections down below, and share this with somebody else watching the series. And I will see you guys for the next one. Bye-bye.